Welcome to the Behind the Mic Show from the Cheap Seat Sports Bar and Grill in Champaign, Illinois. Presented by Ford of Tuscola. Now here's your hosts, Keith, Gibson, and Sam Erwin.
Welcome, everybody, to the Behind the Mic Show from the Cheap Seat Sports Bar and Grill. Your host, myself, Keith Gibson, alongside each and every week, the great one, Sam Erwin. And Sammy, I've got to see you more in the last 2 weeks than I've seen you in 6 months. It's been magical for me.
It is. I was going to say, and you're welcome, because you know what? I got people on a waiting list wanting to see me, and somehow you get just so often.
It is
magical.
It is. But I'll tell you what we did do. We did freeze our bejewels off last Saturday at the tailgate. And we want to appreciate the people that came out to see us, but by goodness, 31 degrees at 7 a.m., wind blowing 20 mile an hour, colder than Blue Mound Road.
Oh, you know what? The frost was fresh out on the pumpkins that morning, I tell you what. And I'm not talking the vegetable. So, yeah, it was quite chilly, and the breeze was blowing a little high out there, you know, whenever we were out on the east part of campus, you know, if
Yes.
you will, far east. Didn't have much wind blockage, but cold, yeah. And that got the old Smirnoff and Crown Peach flowing a little early.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I think I turned you on to that Crown Peach, did I not?
You did. It's very good. I enjoyed it thoroughly. That
Yeah,
iced tea was fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I think everybody enjoyed that. I brought up 2 bottles and went home empty-handed on that.
You did.
Not surprising. Yeah. But no, it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, cold, but we warmed up, and maybe it's just because the weather warmed up a little bit, or maybe the alcohol kicked in.
Either way.
Nevertheless, yeah. But we got to see, you know, Brian Delaney, been forever since I've seen him. Great to see him. I think Ryan Martin showed up. We had KK from Paducah, big Michigan fan as well, was there.
Ian Wilson brought his Screen Mobile champagne truck.
Yep, Ian Wilson was there. Absolutely. Nice plug. That's nice right there. Yeah. But yeah, many people. Booze Cow was performing. I mean, we had all sorts of people stopping by. So
You know,
it was a lot of fun.
We made it till noon.
Yes, we did. And then we went back to
the cheap seats.
To the cheap seats, and it was much nicer there. A lot more wind blockage, and it was quite
a little
nice.
warmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. But no, hey, we got a big show, a mega show planned for today with the Mega Powers.
Yeah, dig it. Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
But we've got a huge show. We're going to talk about our competitive sports good for student athletes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We're going to talk about – what else are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about Mike Tyson at the top of his game, at the height of his career. Is there any other boxer at the height of their career that you can remember? Past, present, future, why not? Is there going to be a cyborg created that could have went toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson in his prime?
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Yes, it would. Yes, so we'll see what we come up with there.
We're going to talk some other sports topics, including a under 2-hour marathon. I know you've got some great stats on that.
Insanity is what that is.
Yeah. But we've also got a huge, the biggest we've had yet, Friday Night Mike segment.
Ooh, brother, yeah. We've got, of course, Brian Mick Tackitt as the Wolves now have 5 wins on the year, 1 more, and they're in the playoffs after 2 back-to-back 1-8 seasons. Incredible turnaround. We've got him. We also have Coach Groves and Coach Johnson from Benton. We don't even invite Johnson. He just shows up. It's like, is that necessary? You know, all we need is Groves, but whatever. But yeah, we have that as they are undefeated. Once again, after a 1-8 season last year, undefeated. And then we also have two-time Hall of Famer, Coach Kerry Martin from the Marion Wildcats, once again, as they as well are undefeated.
I tell you what, Sammy, there's a theme to this. You come on our show. You have a good season.
Keith Gibson, what is the common denominator of these teams? What's going on here?
They're all on our show.
Exactly.
And they're all winning.
And you're welcome. That's right. So it's going to be a great show. And then we're going to finish the show with round 2 of, what do we do?
Dad jokes,
corny jokes, which once again, Brent Johnson's going to stick around to be the game show host. I'm sure that's going to be entertaining for everyone. So, yeah, looking forward to it. So it's going to be a great show tonight. And this, you know, because after last week, you and I both felt maybe the show wasn't tip-top.
Right.
But boy, we come back with, it is a mega show with the Mega Powers.
Yeah, taste it when the madness and the mania meet.
Oh, dig it. Yeah. Yeah, can't wait. So
we're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors. both Ford of Tuscola presenting sponsor and Bees Trees. And we'll be right back after that. These messages from them, we thank them because without them, this show isn't possible. But make sure also if you want a Behind the Mic Show shirt, hat, let us know. We can get them for you. We've got things going out, and people love the hats, Sammy.
Oh, they do. Those things just took off like wildfire. May need to make some more of those bad boys.
May have to. Any color you want, we can get them. Thanks to
right.
Thanks to Rick Slaughter at Shirt Tales, by the way, for hooking us up with those hats. We do appreciate Rick and getting those in a timely fashion for us. But take a quick break here from Ford of Tuscola and Bees Trees. Sammy, why should everybody listen to Bees Trees and give Greg a call?
Well, this time of year, a lot of people really want to make things look nice for the fall weather. And, especially, if you've got your shrubs are a little bit out of control, maybe the summer was, really made them grow. But Keith, as we know, if you're wanting to, present things on your deck, like pumpkins, things like that, you want to trim those shrubs back a little bit because
you're going to trim those bushes.
You got to trim those bushes because it makes your deck look bigger where people can see your pumpkins.
Right. Yeah. That's what we love, Greg, and he does a great job at that. We also love Ford of Tuscola, so if you're looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle, call 217-253-3353 or visit FordofTuscola.com. We'll be right back here, and we're going to come back, and we're going to debate, is Mike Tyson the greatest ever? Can anybody ever beat him? And are competitive sports good or bad for student athletes? We'll be right here on the Behind the Mic Show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill.
Here at Ford of Tuscola, we offer superior sales and service for our valued customers, and we are committed to serving you. Our inventory consists of a great selection of new and pre-owned vehicles, including the Ford F-Series, America's best-selling truck. Come see why Ford is the brand that more people buy and buy again. Ford of Tuscola, Central Illinois' vehicle sales and service destination, located on US 36 in Tuscola, Illinois. Find your dream vehicle here at Ford of Tuscola. Ready, set, let's ride.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Behind the Mic Show from the Cheap Seat Sports Bar and Grill. Your host, Keith Gibson, Sam Erwin here tonight. And we're going to change things up a little bit. Instead of talking about maybe some of the hottest topics in sports, after last week's show, Sammy, we got some major feedback from asking a simple question. And somehow I got some backlash from it.
Oh, you did? Well, you are not well liked.
Sport. And just because I said no,
mm-hmm.
I got some backlash.
Yes, you did. So, you know what? At least that gets us some fan interaction. And maybe if nothing else, that's where it's good, where you can debate, because there's really not a right or wrong answer. But it gets people thinking. Right. No, you were really wrong. But it gets people thinking and gets them involved in the show. You know? Maybe gets the emotions going a little bit. So I thought it'd be kind of neat this week to just, why not? We'll throw out some things, gets people thinking, maybe get some feedback. And, once again, just debate a little bit. I think people maybe like the banter between you and I, as we may agree, we may disagree, and then go from there. So maybe just a couple of them. Then we'll talk about some, sports topics as well. There's a really cool thing we can talk about later that maybe not everybody paid attention to, but something that's pretty impressive. So anyway, first debate topic, and Keith Gibson, I'll let you have the floor on this to see what you think.
Okay.
But we all remember Iron Mike Tyson. All right. Yes. In his heyday, the baddest man on the planet. I remember his matches were, sometimes 30 seconds long. He won most of his boxing matches before they even started due to intimidation alone, because everybody's afraid he was going to kill somebody. So my question to you is at his height, when he was the baddest man on the planet, untouchable, knocking people out quickly, and, they wouldn't go past probably the second round, is there anybody else to you in boxing, whether it be now or back in the day, that could have went toe-to-toe with Iron Mike Tyson when he was at his very best?
Well, Mike Tyson was a savage.
Yes, he was.
Boy, I tell you what, Tyson in his prime, at the peak of his career, was one of the greatest boxers I've ever witnessed in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I still say the Riddick Bowe match was thrown. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Tyson, I don't know if anybody – boy, I'd put Ali. I'd take Ali to match up with Tyson. Ali was a little taller, could take some shots. But, man, Tyson was so quick and so far ahead of everybody else that he was in the ring with. He was just a savage.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Mike Tyson. Man, I just don't know if anybody could. Ali, maybe Smoking Joe, Frazier.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like you say, with Tyson, it was a combination of both speed and power. You know, you had your guys with speed and had a little bit of power, but then you had guys, you know, like George Foreman, very powerful man.
Yeah, but
But not.
Foreman was powerful, but he didn't move around the ring like Tyson. He wasn't quick at all.
Right.
Tyson was just so quick with those jabs. I mean, he did each with the left jab and come right back out with an right uppercut, and you didn't even know it hit you.
Right.
Powerful
Well,
too.
and the whole downfall for Tyson, and where it really started to go down, was when his manager passed away. If you remember the old gentleman that took him in as a young kid, that was basically just a thug on the streets and took him in to keep him from going to prison at the time. It really was like a father figure to him. I believe his name was Customato at the time, and then he passed away, and boy, it just went downhill in a hurry for Tyson after that. But when it comes to, because in watching, you know, and Ali obviously is known as the greatest, but once again, he didn't have to fight Mike Tyson at his height. It would be hard for me to pick against anybody but Tyson. I don't know if you remember back whenever he was at his height, there was an article in Sports Illustrated about he's getting ready to fight somebody, and they showed a picture in the locker room before he went out for whatever fight it was. The fight lasted 90 seconds or something like that. But the manager came in, cussed it, said, "You ready to go?" Tyson got up off the bench, went over to a cinder block wall, and punched a hole in the wall. And they showed a picture of it, of the hole. You could see the cars going by on the outside. And I thought, my God, if he hits, and which he did, and you seen what happened, I mean, people would just fold. And it's just unbelievable, the amount of power, speed. So, yeah, to me, I don't think, as far as I can tell, and I don't know everything about boxing. I mean, I'm sure there's listeners out there that know far more than we do, but I would take Tyson at his height over anybody else at their height.
It'd be very hard for me to take somebody. I mean, Ali may be the only one that I think could stand a chance with him. But even then, man, I don't know if anybody could, at Tyson in his prime, if anybody even touches him.
Right.
But the other question I have for you, while we're talking about boxing, is what happened to boxing?
Well, I think you're losing out on that big name box office draw. And also, I think it just became to where, you know, it was kind of phony. You know, it seemed like it was almost like professional wrestling, like, you know, the outcome was already decided before people went out there. And, you know, it started to lose its luster there. But right now, I mean, tell me about some heavyweight boxers you like.
Bingo.
Yeah, you don't know who they are.
Tyson
You don't know
Fury.
anybody. Tyson Fury. And why do you know Tyson Fury all of a sudden?
Because he's involved in WWE. That's the only reason I know.
That's right, exactly. So in terms of actually getting people to watch it, because MMA is really taken over too, that people like to watch rather than boxing. And, you know, and if you remember, like with the smaller guys, like with Floyd Mayweather, you know, huge match with Pacquiao, but all he did, they just ran around in circles in the ring. I'm not paying hard-earned money to watch people run around in circles and nobody hit anybody. You know,
I did once.
Want to see.
I did.
Who'd you get?
It was Mayweather Pacquiao, the first fight. I was in Chicago. I paid $20 to get in the bar. It was actually a lot of fun, and they did all. That's all they did. But there was tubes of beer you could buy and keep it on your table. That's the only reason I enjoyed it.
Right, it makes it far more enjoyable.
But yeah, so, Mayweather's older now. He's not fighting. Pacquiao's not. I mean, you're right. That's a great point. There are no big name draws anymore to the sport of boxing.
Right. At least as far as I know, I'm sure I think Fury's got a big fight coming up against a guy that said his goal was to kill somebody in the ring earlier, you know, a few months ago. Deontay Wilder, I believe is his name.
Okay, but great. But where's the draw?
Yeah, that's the thing, man, is people aren't interested as much, you know. I mean, it's just not.
I can see two guys do that in UFC.
Right.
And exactly. I don't enjoy that. I enjoy the art of boxing.
Right. Well, yeah. And the thing with Tyson is there was no art, but there was just utter power and destruction, because that's what people tuned in to see. They wanted to see someone just get knocked out, and Tyson was definitely good at that. But the thing with Ali, and I will say this, is he's probably the smartest boxer of all time. They would have found a way if he could just – basically what Tyson, as we found out, is if you can get him into round 2, round 3, maybe round 4 – all of a sudden that powers that he wasn't in as incredible as a shape as someone else. So if you can run him and kind of get him gassed a little bit, you got a chance. And so that may have been, if you put those two at their best, I think Ali has definitely got a chance because he's smart, and they would have found a plan to get him.
So say that boxing match, Ali Tyson, both in their primes on pay-per-view, how much would you pay?
Oh, wow. Boy, that, you know what? It really wouldn't have mattered if you could watch that. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be
Come up with
awesome.
something like that. Yeah, that would be so great. So anyway, so it sounds like we kind of agree there a little bit. If there's someone out there that has a different opinion of a former boxer that might be able to dethrone Mike Tyson, just let us know. Next topic, Keith Gibson.
Yes.
Is competitive sports, and let's put this at let's start at junior high. Okay, because really before that, it's not really competitive as much. I get it. We don't want to offend any parents. Yes, your kid in 5th grade is playing football, but at the same time, let's, junior high and above. So
we're talking 7th, 8th grade, right?
7th, 8th grade and on. High school, all that. Is competitive sports good or bad for students?
Well, I think it can be I think it can be both.
Okay.
It depends what kind of environment and what kind of coach you have.
Okay.
Do you have a coach who puts academics first? Or do you have a coach who doesn't care and is only there to try to live out his dreams?
Okay.
I think it can be great if you realize that you're a student athlete, being the key word. I think sometimes that's really forgotten in junior high and high schools. And especially as you get into college, I think it's forgotten too. We've talked about that many times on this show. I think it's something that we in America as citizens have kind of forgotten about. They are students, they're still kids.
Right.
But it also can be great because it forms bonds. It forms friendships. It forms a sense of self-worth. It can teach you a lot of things in life. A lot, sports can. But it can also bring you down too. I mean, sports is not always the championships and trophies, and now, we're going to get me started on this. Here we go. Now, kid gets a trophy because they play in a competitive sport. So now we're gonna give every kid a trophy because hey, you're on the team. You got a participation trophy. That doesn't teach anything.
Right.
So now, I would say 20 years ago, I think sports were good because not everybody got a trophy, and so it made you work harder to want to become better to do that. Now everybody gets a trophy. Everybody gets a medal. Everybody. You get a medal. You get a medal. You get a whale. You get a whale. Everybody gets a whale.
Right.
My point is there's no real – you can't grow if you don't feel defeat. And so you ask, is it good or bad? In that sense, it's bad. It's real bad. But for the kids who aren't getting that, it's good.
Okay.
That's my take on that. I think there's two sides to it, and I think it depends on which side you are. If you want to be the coach or the parent that wants every kid to get a medal because they participated, you're doing nothing but coddling these student athletes. They have to feel the need of not getting the medal, of not winning every time. And I think if you do that, this changes a lot of things, not just in school as student athletes. I think it changes a lot of things in this country.
Okay. All right.
Your thought?
Not bad. Well, my thought is this. I agree with you. A lot of it depends on who your coaches are. We've all had great coaches, like myself. We got Coach Martin coming on tonight. I mean, he was obviously instrumental in my life and came in at a perfect time. So when you have that kind of person, that makes it even better because they know what they're doing. It's not just about the game. It's about much more than that.
Life.
Life in general, just like Coach Tackitt does with his kids, that we've talked about with baseball. I mean, you name it. Now, the good thing, now there are some bad to them as well, but, and you know what, I'm going to say this too, and this may ruffle some feathers, but you know what can really bring down and ruin competitive sports for kids? Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. You want to know what that is?
Money?
And you get parents.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, because guess what? To some parents out there, your kid's not a superstar, even though you think he might be. You're not helping your kid out by coddling him, telling him you should be starting whenever you're not at practices. you obviously look through your own, rose-colored glasses that it's your kid. And I get that. Parents and their kids, they think their kid's perfect. I understand that, but you're not helping that kid out. There's a reason why he may not be playing. It's not always the coach's fault because, like I said, you're not at practices. You're not, a part of the film study. You're not all that. Of course, once again, we focus on football a lot. But maybe your kid's just not that good, So that doesn't help your kid. And it sometimes creates a bad attitude. But in the grand scheme of things, to me, when you're in a competitive sport and on a team, you learn about family.
Yep.
To count on one another, to help your brother. When you look across that locker room, you can count on that person. It develops friendships that last a lifetime, of friendships that maybe you wouldn't have had, had you not played that competitive sport. Another thing that it teaches you is overcoming adversity, because even on the best teams, sometimes things go wrong. And that can prepare you for, as we just said before, life after the sport, because you're going to have adversity in life. How do you handle that adversity? You've done it before. Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to stop you right there because I think a great point. I'm going to let you continue here in just a second. Can you tell me what percentage of high school athletes go on to play in college football and what percent of college football athletes play professionally?
Oh, it's like what, 1%?
Correct, sir. 1%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my point to this is quit giving out awards. 1% of high school athletes go on to play in college.
Right.
1% of college athletes go on to play in the pro. 1%.
Right.
You have to prepare yourself for after.
That's exactly right. Yes. And that's what the sport, if the coach does it right and teaches teamwork, overcoming adversity, helping one another, that's going to take you farther in life, much farther than making you really good at football, baseball, whatever. Because the chances, as you just said, of getting there are very slim. And that's like, just once again, with some of these parents that talk about how great their kid is, you got to understand, especially if you're in small towns, things like that, when like this traveling baseball stuff, it's like 80 some games a year. I don't know how great that is for kids. And I get it. You want them to get that college scholarship. You want to be, if your kid's that good, it's rare to be that good to get a D1 scholarship offer. It's just rare. So, but to prepare you for life, the teamwork, and also for a lot of kids, it gives them something to do and keeps them off the streets. When I was coaching in Metropolis, there were several kids, great kids, but their home life was crap, and the only thing they had was football.
Well,
and
it's their getaway.
It's their getaway, exactly, because the home life. One kid, I dropped him off one time. The roof was falling in. There was no stove in the house. That's all he had, and so then he knew to play football. He had to keep his grades up. Had he not had football, his grades would have been pitiful. He probably would have dropped out of high school and ended up doing nothing. I've saw many kids like that if it wasn't for competitive sports, they would have gone nowhere in life.
Well, I wasn't a great athlete. I mean, it's hard for people to believe. I know.
I can't believe it. Even though I know, I still can't believe it.
I love playing sports. I do. It's my passion. I still love sports. That's why the show. But I wasn't the best athlete in high school or junior high or at any level. But when I went out there and I created more bonds with those guys and created more long-lasting friendships with those guys who were my teammates and who we could joke with and have fun. And I still was having fun doing what I'm doing. But I didn't get an award every year just because I was, playing.
Your award was being on the team.
Right. Right. My reward was getting to spend quality time with the guys that you suit up with every Friday night, or who you slide in the dirt and the mud and you're diving after balls and taking balls off the region, if you will, during ground balls in the gym. It's things like that. Things like that I remember. Those are the times that I remember. I wasn't the greatest athlete in the world.
Right.
But
Well,
but also I knew I wasn't good enough that I was going to get a D1 scholarship.
Right.
So you have to enjoy the time you have, whether it's junior high, because I remember junior high basketball games. I didn't play basketball, but I was there rooting people on. High school, I wasn't going anywhere, but by God, I was out there playing and having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And if nothing else, it teaches you to, or at least hopefully you get it out of it, is, as we talked about earlier with, awards and all that, is you get nowhere in life without the help of others. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even like in my job, I'm in sales. and selling alcohol throughout Western Kentucky, I can't do that without the people in Louisville setting up the deals. I can't do it without my boss helping me out whenever I have a question. I can't do that without the customers working with me. You don't do anything on your own, and you learn that in a team sport. Whatever position you play, whether football, quarterback, I can't do it without the line in front of me. I can't do it without the guy catch the ball. I can't do it without the running backs blocking for me as well or running for touch. It's all teamwork aspect that helps you down later in life, because you don't get anywhere in this world without the help of somebody. Nobody does anything on their own. And you can't tell me, there's no guy that can say, I did it all on my own. No, you didn't. Somebody had to help you along the way.
Just like this show.
That's right. Now, granted, I mean, really, you bring up a good point, because a lot of times I do this show on my own.
Oh, but here we go. No, but let's be honest.
No.
If one of us try to do this show on our own, it's not as good.
No, it sucks. I mean, who wants to just sit and listen to one guy and, read? I mean, but it is what it is. Right. But no, so I'd say we both agree that competitive sports are important. Now, are there any drawbacks other than what we said that you can think of as competitive sports?
Yeah, there is. I think sometimes you brought up a great point of travel ball, and it's too much sport.
Yeah.
I remember when we grew up, we didn't have travel ball. We played Little League, Pony League in the summer. Right. We didn't have travel ball like that back then. But we also had 3 sport athletes. You don't have the 3 sport athletes anymore. I think there's too much focus on, and this will probably ruffle feathers, there's too much focus from parents. And I'm a parent, don't get me wrong. But there's too much focus on, you're going to play this sport, and we're going to go play travel ball, whether it's basketball, AAU, or whatever it is, baseball, football, and all this. But
right.
It's too much. Let the kids be kids. And that's what I see in America, and I'm not talking about just small town America. I'm talking about here in Champaign. I'm talking about big cities. I'm talking about everywhere. Nobody is letting kids be kids anymore. When's the last time you saw kids playing wiffle ball or anything in the yard? When's the last time you saw kids just riding bikes around?
Right.
Part of here's another. That's not all parents, Sam. That's not all parents. You know what part of it is? Technology.
Right. Exactly. It's much better to sit, and thumb through on your phone, and it's a lot less work. But also, the competitive sports where it can get rough too is I know a lot of kids, and some of our friends or whatever, when you get home, it's pretty rough if you don't play well. There's some parents that are very hard on their kids if they're not superstars and had a rough game, and instead of being supportive, they just chew on them of how could you cost you, watch Friday Night Lights sometime and the role Tim McGraw plays, if you remember that football movie.
I do.
Pretty rough on that kid because he fumbled the ball, so there's an aspect too of where it can ruin it. So, sometimes that happens. But anyway, so just a couple topics to kind of talk about.
Hold on, before we move on. Hold on, I'm not done with this topic yet.
Oh, okay, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
We talk football. And my question for you is, are they starting them too young?
Oh, 100%. There is no reason.
I think the kids are starting so young, Sam. They're getting burnt out by the time they get to high school. And you're seeing numbers down in not just the schools that we talk to, but you're seeing it down all over the country. And I think part of it's concussions. Don't get me wrong. Part of it, parents are worried about concussions.
Right.
And which no qualms with that. Safety first. Right. But I think the second part of it is you're seeing kids getting burnt out on football.
Yes.
From an early standpoint. I know we talk a lot about football, but it could be baseball too, because they're starting early on that. And then travel ball teams, I've seen teams burn out 7 and 8 years old.
Yep.
When do kids have time to grow up and be kids?
And once again, no time to be kids. So by the time you're in high school, you're like, screw this. I'm just going to go and run with and not play at all, even if they're superstar athletes. Absolutely 100%. And football, there is zero reason a third grader ought to be playing full contact football with helmets. Zero. All you should be doing is playing flag football at most, learning the basics of the game, how to take a handoff, how to catch properly, and just enjoy. And you got to think, you start in third grade, by the time you get to high school, that's 5 years of contact football already. Right. And now 4 more years where it's much more competitive and they hit harder. Are you kidding me? 9 years of football already, and then you're supposed to maybe play college. So now there's 13 years of football already if you're good. And now your pro life is going to be what? 2-3 years at most.
Right.
As you see, what's the average lifespan of a football player anymore? It's too much. There's no reason. And those kids, the brains are still developing. Their bodies are still developing. I just think that's insane.
I'm a baseball guy, Sammy. Yep. I hate seeing kids growing up. They're in high school. They're having to have Tommy John surgery.
Exactly. And I've always said that too. It's like, even those young kids, like in Little League and all that, I mean, don't have them throwing curveballs. It's Little League, especially pitching all the time and you're snapping tendons. Man, it's too much. Just too much. That's just my opinion.
You got me fired up tonight about that.
I tell you what, we got a couple good topics right there. A couple good topics. So,
Hey,
all right, are you ready to move on to a third topic?
We can move on now. I'll calm down. I'll simmer down.
Are
now.
you good? All right. Okay. All right. So this one is not a debate topic. Just something cool that I thought we'd bring up. This is something totally off the wall that we normally wouldn't talk about, but I saw it just happen recently. I thought, wow. So there was a record broken in a marathon, 26.2 miles. Okay, I don't even like to drive that far. But, of course, by a 34-year-old Kenyan. As we know, they're the best in the world at running marathons. They have been forever. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I get it wrong. But a 34-year-old Kenyan, the record was 2 hours, 1 minute, 39 seconds before. So this guy ran it in 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds, 26 miles in under 2 hours. Okay,
that's looking.
That's fast. So he beat it by 2 minutes. Now, some people are debating if it was, really a record or not. It's not really going down as a real record because it wasn't necessarily a competition. It was focused on this guy because he actually, I think, had the record before or was tried to beat it before. Basically, the whole goal was to beat 2 hours. That's what they want to do. Never been done before. So that was the whole goal behind this. There was a laser beaming pace car. There were pace runners that were basically as rabbits. You remember in the old like dog races where they'd have a little mechanical rabbit on the rail?
I do remember that on Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny, exactly, yes. But they had pace runners do that, and they had them in a reverse V. So, the one guy's right in front of him, and they V'd off going the opposite direction is kind of help with the wind resistance. He also had special Nike shoes, okay? So apparently getting new shoes does make you run faster. I remember that as a kid, like, these will make you really run faster, but they didn't. But he had those as well. And some people say, well, it's not that. It's impressive regardless. I don't care what he did because his average mile was 4 minutes and 34 seconds. Average. Okay? That's cooking, all right? His average speed
Hold on, Sammy, I don't know if I can run a quarter mile in 4 minutes and 49 seconds.
I don't know why you'd want to at this point. It's like,
at our age?
I'm only going to run if I'm scared at this point. It's like, the average speed he ran was 13.16 miles an hour. That's really getting it. Okay, that's going pretty quick.
He's speeding in some school zones.
He really is. That's right. Get ticketed for that. And they said at that speed he was running, and the average of the mile was like running the 100-meter dash in 17 seconds, whereas the world record's like 9:58 or something like that in 17 seconds. But he did it 422 times. Is how the math works out. Consecutively over 26 miles, he was basically doing it. So he kept that pace for 2 hours. Now, granted, once again, it was all set up perfectly. The route was all shaded, so you didn't have to worry about the heat as much. And all these, the rabbits in front of him kind of pacing him. But still, you still got to keep that clip going and not drop dead. And I'm like, how do you run that long? It's just incredible to me. So
I can't even run to the mailbox and I have to worry about sweating.
Oh God, just bent over, just asking not to die, and but I like the stairs. so I just thought that was interesting to bring up, a little different sport than we normally talk about. So
yeah, we don't talk about running a whole lot on this show.
We don't, and if anybody could see us in person, they'd understand why. So yeah, not big on running. And then other than that, Keith, you want to talk about how bad the NFL sucks, or do you? I mean, it's Flag City. It's not exciting. I haven't watched hardly any because it bores me to death. I'm watching more and more college football because it just seems to be a better product. And
I would rather watch, Sam Erwin, I would rather watch Tennessee Tech versus St. Mary's of the Woods, and I would watch any NFL game right now.
Oh, it's terrible.
The NFL,
it is.
It's flags every 4 plays, or it's not any flags, or it's just horrible officiating.
Yep.
It's just horrible play.
Yep.
It's a lot of high. It's becoming the NBA.
It really is. And what they're doing is with the concussions that go on, with the players acting the way they do, and the lack of suspensions or too many suspensions, the flags, it's just not fun anymore. And I'm hoping as the XFL has started its draft, that league that Vince McMahon's trying to bring back, they have their draft going on. A buddy of the show, former Gator Drew Ferris, is in the XFL draft. So we wish him luck and hope that happens. But let me ask you something. Do you think the XFL has a shot to take away from the NFL?
It depends what kind of football they present.
Right?
I still don't think – I think, as much as you're going to enjoy what I'm getting ready to say, Tim Tebow said it best a few weeks ago. There's a reason people flock to college football stadiums. There's a reason people flock to support a university. Whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's any sport, it's because you don't have the hoopla, the politics, the showboating. You do get some showboating, but not a whole lot. Not like it is in the NFL. But you also go to root for your team, your university. It's I would rather watch college anything than
right
professional anymore, especially the NBA.
Right. Yeah. And sport, I just talked to someone else about this. I said, when it comes to professional sports anymore, the only time I watch really anymore is when it gets to the playoffs and it actually means something then. College football, it means something every week.
Right.
Because if you lose a game, you might be out of the chance to go to the Final Four, as they've got now. You really, maybe one loss, but man, you really got to bring it every week. And I think some NFL teams, for instance, I think there's just some weeks they just don't care. It's like, how did the Cowboys lose the Jets? You freaking kidding me? The Jets are terrible.
You know who will ask about that later?
Mick Tackitt. He's going to love that question. Yeah,
that's right. We'll ask him how that happened.
He knows it's coming. So,
but Coach Kerry Martin, who we'll have on the show here a little bit later, big Dolphin fan.
Right. Nothing to watch. Yep.
There's nothing. Even as a Bears fan, I love the Bears.
Right.
I love the Bears. You lost to the Raiders.
Right. Yep.
There
are several, and that goes back to the tanking on purpose.
Maybe I missed the dynasty of New England. Maybe I miss how good they really are.
Right.
Because that was great football.
Right.
You don't have that team right now. You don't have anybody in the NFL besides maybe the Patriots.
Yeah.
Who are consistently good. It's just And there's too much movement. What happened to – and it's every sport too, Sammy. Oh, you got me fired up tonight, Sammy. What happened to guys staying with one team? What happened to loyalty?
Right.
It's all business now. It all sucks.
Well, and like, for instance, Jalen Ramsey for the Jacksonville Jaguars, been a cancer to the team for 2 or 3 weeks. Trade me. Nobody honors their contracts anymore. He got traded tonight to the Rams. So the Rams are loading up. He's a great player, but he's a cancer, and they got a few picks for him. So it's like you can't even hold players to their contracts anymore, and that turns a lot of people off as well.
You know what could turn me off this offseason? Was Zeke Elliott and the whole asking for I'm just like, I don't care anymore.
Nope.
You haven't been in the league 5 years. Prove me something. Win a championship.
Right.
And ask for more money.
Yep. And just like Tim Tebow said, college, it's about your university and putting on for your team and your fans. NFL, it's about me. It's all about me.
It's the NFL. It's the NBA. It's even Major League Baseball.
Yep. So now it makes you wonder.
It's the Premier League. It's soccer. It's every damn professional sport now.
Yep. And now you kind of see what Tebow's talking about a little bit, because now if you let the pay for play come to college sports, is the same thing going to happen there? And now we'll have no sports, because will it ruin college football?
We'll have a sport.
So, yeah.
Beer drinking's a sport.
Remember the movie Basketball?
I do.
Maybe we'll get that. Yeah.
Love that movie. Love that movie. Love basketball.
Yep.
Beer drinking's a bigger sport than cheerleading.
Right.
So, but yeah, hey, great segment today. Great topics. We'll wrap up, take a quick break, and we'll come back. And Sam, we've got a big Friday Night Mike segment.
Woo, brother.
We're going to start with Coach Kerry Martin. We're going to have him on. We're going to have Coach Justin Groves from Benton. We're going to have Coach Brian Tackitt. And then we go to Dad Jokes. It's going to be the rest of the great show. So stay tuned to the Behind the Mic show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill.
Bees Trees, your local ISA certified arborist with over 10 years experience, specializing in tree removal, tree trimming, and with free estimates. Call Greg Miller of Bees Trees today at 217-260-4551.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Behind the Mic show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill. Keith Gibson alongside Sam Erwin. as we welcome you to Friday Night Mikes, our continued segment, week 8 of the high school football season. And Sammy, we welcome back in a two-time Hall of Famer.
Two-time. Mm-hmm.
7-0 on the season, Marion High School head coach, Kerry Martin. Coach Martin, thanks for joining us once again.
It's great to be here.
7-0. So, Coach, when this season started, we talked about, a lot of youth and, it might be a learning, growing season. And here you come out and go 7-0. I mean, good Lord. Did you expect that as the year started?
We just had so many new faces, and we had 9 new starters on defense and a new quarterback. We did have some pieces on offense back, but I think, be honest with you, we lost our kicking game from last year, who was outstanding, and we just had so many question marks, Sam. It wasn't that I didn't think this team couldn't be good. There were just so many unanswered questions. I think I was a little reluctant to be overly optimistic because a lot of kids had to step up and play that I wasn't exactly sure could or would, and they really have, man. They've surprised us, and they gelled well together, and I think that's the thing you don't know. What kind of chemistry we're going to have come Friday night? It has been outstanding.
A lot of close games so far this year, Coach, and it says a lot about your team, too. Able to come out and get some victories in some really close ball games.
That's been kind of the story of our season. I mean, we've only really had 2 games with any real cushion, and we've had to come back in I think at least 4 of the games. And so that's one of those things you never know about your kids until you play a game and you have good competition and you find out what they're made of. But I've been really proud of them. They have battled back and won a couple of games under the final 2 minutes or so. And we realize that we're 7-0. A play here, play there. We could be a 5-2 team right now or so, but they just keep answering the bell. They're great perseverance, great resilience, and they just keep fighting back. And I'm proud of them. They've done a great job.
So even though it's not great on your health, those close games, do you feel like that's going to be a major benefit come playoff time?
I hope so, Sam. I think so. I mean, just the fact that they've been tested and they've been able to come back, I think is a good thing. Anytime you're getting ready for a playoff run, I think, they got the confidence to know that even if they're down, they in numerous games this year, they bounced back against good teams and found a way to win. And it's got to help some. I mean, I think those are confidence builders. I think those things have allowed our kids to grow up in a hurry. And I think they've got confidence in each other. And I think they look at the game plan now, and I think they start to believe that, hey, the coaching staff has put us in a good situation. So let's buy in, and all those things matter. So I've got our fingers crossed we can get a good first-round game, maybe get a home game to start the playoffs, and go from there.
So as a coach, sorry, Keith, just one more, and then you can jump in. As a head coach has done this many, many times, at this point in the season, I mean, the players are obviously in shape. You just try to keep them that way and not drop out of shape. So does the conditioning kind of cut back a little bit? And what are you really focusing on? I mean, does everything basically stay the same as the season goes on, or do you kind of adjust and not maybe not hit as much in practice and kind of save more of that for Friday, not run them as much, because as the season drags on, and I know we've talked about you guys, you play several guys, both ways. So what is your plan of attack as you get later on in the season?
We back the practices off. We cut practice back. Our on the field time is less, and we will still spend the same amount of time in film, but we cut practice back. We cut contact back. We have very short whistles when we do scrimmage. If you want to call it a scrimmage, it's pretty quick whistle stuff. A lot of it is just about game plans. We still do a lot of fundamental work, try to stay sharp in fundamentals, but we do a lot of formation recognition, game plan, work on some things that maybe gave us trouble last week. It's a little bit different. I think we still have a lot of the same segments, but we cut the time down in those segments, and we really try to focus on things we're going to do this week against this opponent. So we got to keep the kids fresh. It can be a grind, and when you get into week 6, 7, and 8, especially, there's a bit of a grind there, and players are tired of practice, and you got to find some ways to keep them energized. I think one way to do that is to cut practice time and get them off the field.
Well, Coach, you said earlier that your players have bought in and believed in everything this year so far. What is something that you have bought into and believed about this team? Or through, maybe you haven't learned through, your many years of coaching, what's something that maybe is new to you this year?
I think when things aren't going well, maybe in the first quarter or part of the second quarter or whatever, or even the first half, with this group, I know they can find a way to fix things and make them better. And I think you learn with certain groups what buttons to push and what buttons you don't push. What worked for the team in 2017 may not work for the same team in 2019, as it's a different makeup of kids. So I think as a head coach, you've got to know your team. And so one thing I've learned about this group, just like Friday, we're in a 14-7 game against Centralia. They're battling the heck out of us. I went at halftime and just told them, hey, let's have a better second half. I know we're playing someone we should beat, and we need to beat, but they gave us everything they had, and I just had the confidence in them that they would come out and play a better second half, and they did. Now, I think that's one of the things you learn, I think, as you get into coaching, that you got to know your team. I've had teams that needed me to come in at halftime and get after them for certain things, but I just think knowing your kids, knowing your team, knowing how they respond, and knowing what kind of leadership you've got on the field.
And Coach, was that one of those teams you had to come in at halftime again? Was that one of Erwin's teams?
I'm gonna stop, Coach. Sorry to interrupt, but Keith, if you could have been my junior year at the halftime speech of the Fairfield game,
that's it.
Woo! That's it. Yeah.
I
mean, you want to talk about thunderbolts and fire, and woo, boy, we got woken up real quick there at halftime.
Yeah.
And we were up. That's the best part. We were up, but not by enough.
Yeah, that Sam, that's the one I remember. That's the halftime I remember that year, and we did not play well in the first half against a very talented but young Fairfield team. Now that team went on to be a very big playoff team. In fact, their head coach right now, Justin Townsend, played as a sophomore on that team.
Oh wow!
And against us that night, and I remember how poorly we played in the first half, and we ended up winning on one of the ugliest 2-minute drives in football history. And listen, it was ugly. We had several fourth downs. We had some penalties. You threw a touchdown pass to Frankie Lusk to win that game, but it was a really ugly 2-minute drill. But hey, it worked, and we won, and we got out of it. We escaped out of there with a win. But yeah, that halftime was not pretty.
Yeah. Now, Keith, in a part of that story, as it was fourth and very long, I don't remember what it was. Coach Martin comes out. It was our last time out we had, Keith. And so he's got us all around there, and the Fairfield sidelines doing their "Hoop There It Is" song. I remember, I'll never forget that song as long as just having a ball. It's homecoming for them. They've got it won. And Coach Martin is just not thrilled. He comes out to us. He goes, well, here's what we're going to do. He said, Joel Palace, line up far right. He goes, Sam, shotgun. He says, when you get the snap, he goes, just throw the damn ball as far as you can and let's see what happens. I'm like, okay. And that's what he did. He caught it. Crowd gets quiet. It's like, and then we end up coming back and winning. And then the best part was Coach Martin making fun of their homecoming dance at the end as he danced, for us. It was hilarious. But very, very cool moment for sure. But yeah, that
good times
was something absolutely. Now, also for those listening at home, we have a special guest tonight as well to kind of give us a different perspective. She's sweet enough and she said we only get 2 minutes because she's not a big fan of this stuff, but she's nice enough to do it. We have Coach Martin's wife Tracy, who we talked about on the show before, and Tracy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Sam.
Outstanding. Yes, thanks for joining us. But just a little different perspective. Obviously, many years of being a definitely faithful coach's wife. Never missed a game, probably ever. I'm sure. Been there all the time through good and bad. In a nutshell, I know it's hard to put into words, but what is it like? Being a coach's wife. Even in the you've been a lot of great times, I'm sure, but there were some rough times too. What is that like, being on the other side of that people don't really see?
Wow. Of course, never a dull moment. A lot of the bad times are just overshadowed by the many good times we've had. They seem to far outweigh the bad, So it has been a wild ride. It's been fun. I can't imagine having done anything else. Of course, I know nothing else because we started this when we were babies. Right. But no, it is just kept things interesting. It's so cool to watch Kerry and see the lives that he's touched through all of this, which is, like I said, seems like all of our lives. just to hear the stories of people that like you and even further back than that. And, you know, that it's touched my heart to have seen all the kids' lives he's touched and had the pleasure of knowing and the relationships he's built. That is a really cool thing. Yeah.
What is the hardest part of
That's a
being
great
a coach's
question.
wife?
That's a great question.
I know there's a lot of good, but what is the hardest part? Is it sitting in the crowd listeting to the
That's what I was going to say.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
what I was going to say. Any kind of criticism, really, I don't talk about my babies and don't talk about my husband, you know.
Sam, I don't know what she's talking about. I hear nothing but good things.
You've never been criticized in your life,
Never.
I'm sure.
Just
Never.
one or two times. But
Right.
that probably would be the worst, because you know how hard they work, coaches work, and you know what they pour into it. And you know, the older I've gotten, that I've mellowed a whole lot. Like when you played, I was a psycho. I mean, I probably would have fought people back then, but now I just, you know what, you really don't know what you're talking about. And,
right.
you know, so definitely, you know, maturing through the years and doing this year after year, you kind of, you know, your skin gets tougher, but
right.
Yeah, that probably would be the hardest thing. Kerry has always included me in everything. I feel like I'm part of it, so that's made it easier to be part of it. Definitely, I have a story. When we got ready to get married, my dad was like, okay, Kerry's going to coach, and this is before anything ever really happened, and he's like, you know, do you realize what you're getting into? And of course I was like, well, yes, I do. Well, no, I didn't, because I had never done it. Yeah. But I played sports in high school. So I was familiar with some of it, but you just can't know until you live it. So, but I can say it's been a pleasure. It sure has. So,
Right.
What's the brightest spot, would you say, Tracy, for you seeing your husband succeed? What's been one of the brightest spots you've seen?
Oh gosh. Kind of like I said, just watching his relationships with all these young men through the years, and them come back and you know, just have these stories to tell, and just like Sam, the laughter, and they remember plays and just all that good stuff. It is a neat thing to watch. It really is. Yeah.
And I tell you what, you said about where, you know, coach has always been good about basically making you a part of it. You're not just, here's my wife off the side. There was and I hope you got to see that. There was a really cool picture of you two at the end of a game here recently. And it was coach was giving an interview, I think, there on the field after the game. And he was actually holding your hand, and you're standing right there. That's one of the coolest pictures, man. I'm
Agreed.
like, boy, that's those two in a nutshell right there. Yeah, that was really cool. Really cool. So
thank you.
Yep. Well, Tracy, I tell you what, I think you went past 2 minutes, so you've exceeded expectations. So thank you for that. It was
Thanks,
a pleasure.
Guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Coach Martin, before we let you go, I got a couple questions. You got Carbondale this week, correct?
I do.
Tough matchup. Yes. What do we know about Carbondale? What can we look for? I know every coach that's been on this show, including you, it's 1 week at a time.
Yes, sir.
Every time it's 1 week at a time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But you only got 2 weeks left of the regular season. What are we looking forward to the next 2 weeks?
You know, it's kind of funny. We played Cahokia week 4, and then since that time, I know people have been whispering and talking about week 8. And I worried week 5, 6, and 7 that one of those 3 would be a trap game before we got to Carbondale, because we're only 15 miles apart from each other. We're kind of rivals, I guess. And so this game was kind of looming on the schedule for a long time. They are an extremely talented football team. I mean, listen, they probably have the best offensive weapons of any team we've played all year. I'm talking receiving, running back, and they're different guys. So they're a very, very good football team. Their defense is very aggressive, very fast. So we have our work cut out for us. The good news is we've already got a share of the conference title. If they beat us, they get a share. If we win, we get it outright. So there is quite a bit on the line. We don't feel like sharing this with anybody. We don't want to share it with anybody, but they want a piece of it, which I get. So it's going to be an exciting game. It's at their place. It's their senior night. And it's going to be a great matchup. I think, both teams have had great seasons, and this game ought to be fun. But they're very, very talented.
Coach, I want you to treat this game like I do an apple pie. I want you to eat it all.
Just take it all. That's right. Just take it all.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's one of those things where it doesn't really matter what the records are between Marion and Carbondale. You can throw that out. Anytime we play each other, it's going to be a exciting game. We've always had close games against each other. So I think we bring out the best in each other. So hopefully it'll be exciting for everyone to watch and to be a part of. I think we'll expect a big crowd on Friday.
Yeah. Now, is that a home game?
It's at Carbondale.
At Carbondale. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Long bus trip.
Yeah. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not. I told my kids tonight we're not used to a bus trip the last 15 minutes. I told them there's no movie on the bus. There's no charter. There's no meal afterwards. It's like
right.
Yeah,
Well, and Coach, as 7-0, and you see why you take it one game at a time, because if you guys can get this win and then finish the regular season, I know you pretty much get that home playoff game, right? I mean, that's what you really want.
It does make a difference, Sam. Our home playoff record is pretty dang good, and I think getting a first round game is a big deal to us. We do play well at home. We have a great home atmosphere, and heck, I think when it comes to home field advantage, I think Marion actually has one, and so we feel good about playing here and staying off the road the first week. But at the same time, we know when you get to 5A playoffs, home or away, you're going to play somebody good. There's just 5A is just a different animal. Even your 5 and 4 teams can be extremely good. Your 6 and 3, your 7 and 2s, everybody's good in 5A. So we won't, the better record we got, the better chance we got to play at home. So that's our hope. And
it saves you a long trip, right? Because there's not many schools your size. It's going to be a distance to travel, right? For someone.
Yeah. Think of it this way, Sam. In the last 3 years, our first round games have been at Morris, which is way up north. We've played Rich Central, which is a Chicago school. And then last year, Rich East from the same conference as Rich Central came down to play us.
Right.
So our last 3 games have been against teams that exceeded the 4-hour bus trip, either there or our place. So we've not played, so that's a big part of this is that travel time. And yeah, because if we go on the road, it'll be a long trip, very likely.
Well, Coach, we thank you. We want to invite you to our playoff preview show, too. We're going to do a show with hopefully you and all our playoff coaches coming up. But we wish you luck this week at Carbondale. Let's go get that conference title outright and make it 8-0. And I'm sure everybody will be happy, especially Tracy.
Right.
Yes,
and also Tracy told me on the game I went up to talk to her in the stands, and she's at the very top up by the press box. And I said, 'cause I knew what she was doing. I said, sitting up awful high, aren't you? She goes, don't have to listen to the criticism up here. There's nothing like you're wise. You're very wise. And she just laughed because I've done this once or twice. So,
yeah, that's wisdom, Sam. She keeps moving up higher and higher.
That's right. Yep. Well, thank her again for being on the show. She did great.
I will, man. Thank you, guys. Appreciate what you do.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Right.
Thanks, Keith. Bye.
See you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Kerry Martin, Marion High School head football coach. We'll be right back here on the Behind the Mic show with head coach of the Benton Rangers, Justin Groves, who are also, Sammy, undefeated this season. We'll hear a quick word from our sponsor and be right back here on the Behind the Mic show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill.
Check out the all-new Ford of Tuscola. It's a small-town feel with great big deals. Pre-owned vehicles starting at $24.95. Online at fordoftuscola.com or call 217-253-3353.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Behind the Mic show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill. Welcome back to the Friday Night Mic segment as we welcome our friends from Benton High School, home of the Rangers, head coach Justin Groves and assistant wide receivers coach and just overall great guy, Brent Johnson. Yeah, I knew that'd get a groan from you, Erwin.
Yeah.
Such a liar.
Coach Groves,
Welcome,
Coach Johnson, yeah. What a season so far. 1-8 last year. You guys have been hot. Hotter than a firecracker on the 4th of July. Let me talk about your team here a little bit. Well, I mean, can you get any hotter?
Well, thanks, guys. You know what? Coach Johnson can speak to how hot he is. He does that frequently. So, it's been a good start for sure. And I'll tell you what, it's gone by so fast. You kind of blink and this thing has gotten all of a sudden here. We're looking at week 8, but the kids have made it fun. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Goes by a lot faster when you're winning every week, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. There's we can tell you about how long last year took to get through, and we had some good kids last year. We didn't win a lot of games, and it was a long season. So we don't want this one to get over anytime soon, but it has flown by, and football weather's here now. It feels like football season, and we're getting close to the end here of the regular season. So pretty proud of where we've gotten though.
A lot different than 1-8, as you said, Coach. A long year last year. You said it's 7-0, but a tough one this week in Murfreesboro. As Sam and I were talking at the break there, Murfreesboro's no pushover.
No, they've got – this is one of the groups they've really been looking forward to seeing, and I mean this is a group they've got a lot of time invested in, and they've been good from the start, and I'm sure they're looking forward to the postseason as much as anybody, and that's what they've got on their agenda for Friday night. Get themselves that 6th win and guarantee that spot, and so we're going to definitely have our hands full, and they've got a lot of talent all over the field, and really haven't been tested much since week 1 when they got beat by Carbondale.
So we know how talented you guys are, and we've talked about the players on your team. Who should we watch out for Murfreesboro? Who are the big stars you got to keep an eye on?
Well, I don't know how much time you have because they've got a senior class that I'm pretty sure every one of them was all conference last year, and they bring a lot of depth to with them, on both sides of the ball. But Desmond Clark, number 8, he's a run back for him that probably the fastest kid in the conference and big play capabilities every time he gets the ball. You've got the Caraway kid, Zane Caraway. He's another running back, again, a senior. Jay Koppenstedt. They've got a lot of kids that just rotate in back here in the running back position. I think they've got 6 or 8 of them. They've got a couple quarterbacks they rotate through there and do a good job with them. Finke, I believe, and Jamar McZeek, I think is how you say his name. Those kids are going to be, 2 quarterback type system. They got 2 good ones. They play both of them. Their offensive line is much improved. I know last year they graduated a bunch of players, but they've come a long way here this season. And one kid that really stands out to me is a kid named Jameer Frazier. He's their center. Big kid, senior, flies all over the field. And if you're not looking, he's going to be he'll be on your safety in a heartbeat. He likes to get downfield, block real well. So they've got a bunch of depth, a bunch of good kids, and it's be a pretty good track team roster too. So they got a lot of speed.
Well, Coach, being 7-0 as you come into week 8, though, it may be good for your ball club. And Coach Johnson, maybe you can talk about this a little bit too, to have that late season competition, knowing that playoffs are right around the corner. You guys have already cinched up an automatic qualifier for the playoffs. But will it be a nice thing to have for week 8, or are you more worried about staying healthy?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I don't know how much you followed what's going on with Murfreesboro and their program lately, but they've been on strike. And they had to forfeit a game 2 weeks ago, and then got everything settled. I think at 11:30 Thursday night, at the 11th hour, right? Able to turn around and play Friday, Harrisburg, and there's a part of you that would be you look forward to maybe having a bye week and having some rest and some recoup time for your kids, but I think, deep down inside, all of us, we want to play them. We wanted a chance. That we we're win this conference title, and we're we don't want an asterisk next to it that we didn't have to play the other team in the conference. But not only that, but it gives us a good prep going into the last week of the season, and then starting play. We want to play a team with that speed and as dangerous as they are. That way, when we get to the playoffs, that's not the first time we've had to stack up against that.
Now, you're both of you can talk about this as well. Your quarterback, Danny Glover, continues to attack the record books. I believe he just had a record-breaking, much like his Lethal Weapon movie, just box office success. Now he's throwing 6-7 touchdown passes a game, and just as a sophomore. So maybe Coach Groves, you can kind of talk about his maturation as a quarterback, and then Coach Johnson, maybe you can talk about maybe how your receivers are helping him get to that point. That's a big word, Keith. Gets to see your head exploding, but I am capable of that from time to time. So
maturation is a big word for you.
Every now and then I'll throw one out. I try to learn a word of the day.
I saw you getting the dictionary out. Were you
we
checking to see
don't talk about that. There's no video evidence of that. We don't talk about that. So Coach Groves, can you talk about your quarterback play and kind of have watched him grow and mature, and then maybe Coach Johnson can talk about kind of what the receivers doing to maybe make his job a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I'll touch on briefly before we get there. I'll touch on our running game as a whole, because Glover's our second leading rusher. He's only got a couple hundred yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. But here in the last couple of weeks, our running game has not been what's carried this team. Coming into I guess about homecoming week, we were kind of on a good clip there where we were running the ball real well, 150, 200 yards a game. And Tyler Butler was, he's sitting right now at about 600 yards rushing. I believe he's rushed for 12 touchdowns and caught another 5 or so. But then, with some of the struggles we've had running the ball, with teams kind of keying in on that and taking that away from us, the Glover kid has stepped up. Our offensive line have done their job, and the receivers have done really well. I'll let Coach Johnson talk more to that. But Mr. Glover's thrown for about 900 yards, it looks like, and he set a new school record for touchdowns in a season with, I believe, 18. So he's really come a long way in a hurry. We're not satisfied with where he's at. We've still got things we work on every day, and we don't just go out there and line up and play backyard football. I mean, we're trying to be sound offensively and have a good game plan going into week in, week out, and give our kids a chance to win and give him a chance to be successful. And obviously that takes a good group, takes a good offensive line, a good group of wide receivers, which I'll let Coach Jay tell you a little bit about.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably the biggest key to that, what's really helped is he doesn't have one guy that he throws to really more than the other. I think 2 weeks ago, all 4 of our starting wide receivers had a touchdown. One of them had 3, and it would not be the kid Erwin that you would probably guess based on the game that you came to.
Right.
So that's been nice. I think when defenses look at us on film, every team as coaches, you've got those playmakers and you've got those kids that when you need a score or you want the ball in someone's hands, you've got an idea of who you want that to. But the good thing is on film, you can't tell that that's the way we're wanting the offense to be. He does a good job of spreading. We keep a touch chart every Friday night, and he does a good job of spreading the ball around.
Well, the biggest question for both of you is how's the new Behind the Mic Show hats fit your heads?
Lovely.
Can't believe I missed this opportunity. I actually have that right here. I can't believe I didn't pass that on.
We love you guys so much, and we thank you guys always for joining us. We've become fans of yours, I think, as much as you become fans of us. Coach Groves, we become more of a fan of yours than Johnson's.
Right.
Coach Groves, we got you one in Benton Ranger colors for you.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Boy, that's beautiful. Oh.
Well, I had to go get this. I have to keep this in a spot. It's so much like our team hats. You did a great job. You picked out my favorite hat style and everything. I have several of these, but I didn't want to accidentally grab it and wear it out to practice and get it all dirty one day. So that's for special occasions.
We like
that's going to town hats. What that is?
Yeah, that's my stepping out hat. Yeah,
that's right.
Erwin, you know me. If it goes small enough to fit my head, it's a keeper.
That's right. And it fits perfectly.
Well, gentlemen, we thank you guys. Good luck Friday night.
I can give hats back now since
We look forward to continue to follow you. We thank, of course, always both of you, your staff, your community. Benton has helped us out more this year than I think anybody realizes because there are such great people in that community. We look forward to seeing you how you finish in week 8 and week 9, and then we're going to see where you end up in the playoffs. Hopefully, we're 9-0, and we got a home playoff game. How big, Coach Groves, well, before we finish up here, would that be to have a home playoff game after a 1-8 season to host a playoff game?
Well, if we have a home playoff game, there'll be a big party somewhere in Benton. We'll be celebrating that for sure. I mean, it's something this town,
I like to party.
Yeah. Hey,
I know where it would be.
You can't stay over till 5:30 in the morning, though. Do that.
We've got a shot at that, with a strong finish here. We can accomplish that. I don't know exactly how many teams get home games at whatever record, but that's one of our goals at this point. And if regardless, we're in, so we're going to have fun and we're going to enjoy that. The town of Benton getting a playoff game would be phenomenal. Be something, something that we were accustomed to there for a while, and it's been a little while since we've had one. So we're excited, and hopefully we can talk more about that.
Let's
Absolutely.
talk about, because you're in, so we're going to do a playoff preview show, Coach, and we want both of you guys back on it so we can talk about where you're at, what you're doing, how far, if you have to travel, if you do, if not, how big the party's going to be, and if we're there.
All right, sounds great.
All right, guys.
Yep.
Coach Justin Groves, Benton Ranger
Thanks,
High
Coach.
School, head football coach. His assistant, Brent Johnson, is here with us. Brent's going to come back.
He's
Brent's
never
gonna come
even
back later.
invited. He just shows up. He's
know.
not even invited. He's just.
But hey, Brent's going to come back later in the show, Sammy, and give us more dad jokes.
All right. Sounds like
Nice.
a plan.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll have Flora High School head football coach Brian Tackitt join us here on the Friday Night Mike segment of the Behind the Mike Show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill.
Ford of Tuscola has a large lot full of new and pre-owned vehicles. Check out their great financing, friendly staff, and professional service center. To help you get the most from your next vehicle, make the short drive to Tuscola and find a great deal on your next car or truck.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Behind the Mike Show as we wrap up our Friday Night Mike segment. Sammy, what a big show we have had. I am Keith Gibson, alongside me, Sam Erwin, as usual. And coming in to wrap up Week 8 of our Friday Night Mike segment, Flora Wolves head coach Brian Tackitt, who's coming off another road victory. Boy, I wasn't kidding, Coach Tackitt, when I said last week, what a rush.
What a rush.
Warriors. 7-0 victory on the road at Newton, and a Gibson scored a touchdown.
Actually, you know what? A Gibson scored in Flora. That hasn't happened in years. So that's impressive. Good for him. Good for him.
Gibson's been in a long drought, so.
Months.
Years.
Decades. But no, hey, a big win last Friday night. Huge win for the Flora Wolves. 5th win of the season. Now puts you at 5-2 on the year. 1 win away from automatically qualifying for the IHSA playoffs. And Coach, you got Carlisle this week, but let's talk a little bit about last week at Newton. 0-0 game heading after 3 quarters. Defensive battle, offenses, neither of them could get it going. It took
sloppy conditions.
Took a touchdown from the defensive side to win it. What was the big difference? The offense just not clicking.
Well, like Sam said, the conditions, the field was pretty wet, and it was more of a downhill running game even too. The jet stuff, it's tough to run because you get to the edge and you really couldn't cut like you wanted to if you got there. So that kind of took away some of the stuff we like to do with Michael, and it was just wet to throw. So we did, I think it was like 6 passes during the game, and we did complete 5 of them. But it's hard to throw and hard to kind of get footing for bubble screens and that type of stuff out there. So it was a field possession game. Both teams were punting even inside the other guys' territory. And when we punted from their 45 and they did the same to us, it's just kind of a deal where you wanting to play field position and catch a break, and we got it there in the 4th quarter.
Well, you
So
know,
you're sorry, Keith. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
I was just going to say your defense continues to basically carry a lot of the weight, of this team. But really, as you go forward with a chance to go to the playoffs, still got Carlisle. Like I've said from day one, Keith, you take it 1 week at a time. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
1 week.
Exactly. 1 week at a time. But with a good chance against Carlisle and the way your defense is played, how does that make you feel if you get to the playoffs? How does it? Because a strong defense can carry you a long way. Offenses can have bad nights, and turn the ball over. But if you got a strong defense, usually that defense is there every week. So how do you feel about that going forward?
Well, if you just play good defense like we have, I mean, you always feel like you can be in a game in the fourth quarter. So, and just like last week, defense kind of kept us in it. It's not to say that Newton didn't threat. Well, you guys said you didn't get to listen to it, but right there before halftime, Newton had a 4th and goal from the 3, and really it was like a third down from like R5, and they ran a little bubble screen, and Alex Wiles makes a tackle that saved a touchdown, and we forced the field goal attempt, and they missed it. So, we had plays here and there like that from Alex, and one more from Jacob Hawkins, another corner who both made touchdown saving tackles there, and forced another play. So, the defense is playing well, like you said. And, we've kind of really just thrown stuff out there and let the kids go at it. I haven't really, I don't make a lot of calls. We go over stuff extensively during the week, and here's what you're going to see out of this. And we just need to be prepared for we make a lot of adjustments before snap instead of making adjustments during the snap. But like you said, hey, defense plays well, you give yourself a chance to win, and we feel good about whoever we play with, the way our defense is going right now.
Now let's be honest, Brian Tackitt.
Yeah.
A win Friday night against Carlisle on senior night takes you from 1-8 the last 2 seasons to a playoff team. Playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How proud are you of those boys in that locker room right now? Even from going from 1-8 the last 2 years and going now a chance to automatically qualify for the IHSA playoffs and not have to worry about points.
Yeah, I don't know how many teams make that turnaround, from 1-8 last year to playoffs, whether it's 5-4 or anything, we were wanting to just, show that we can compete in games. And it's something that we didn't do very well last year. And we had a lot of points to make up against teams that, running clocked us last year. So, proud of the kids. I mean, I can't even describe how proud I am of them, and last year they were begging to get back into the weight room. We opened it up earlier than we had the last few years. And, when kids are wanting to do that, you don't tell them no. They think like, I need a break and that sort of thing. But, when they're begging to get back in there, you got something. And even at that, though, for us to be talking about, the playoffs, this late in the season, from 1-8.
We'll take the credit. It's okay. Give us the credit. Go ahead. I know what you're going to say. It's because you're on this show every week.
It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for this show. So
that's all we want to hear. We don't want a lot of credit, just all of it. So that's great. Yeah.
We were missing that one ingredient until you guys came on, and then like boom, it just exploded.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
I knew that was coming.
That's what she said. So anyway, So looking forward to this week, and of course, 2 more weeks left of the regular season, then playoffs. We asked Coach Martin this earlier. We'll ask you the same. As a coach, and of course, you've played a lot of players both ways. You don't have a ton of depth. What are practices like for you guys? You obviously don't have to worry about getting in shape because if you're not in shape by now, you're not going to get in shape. And the hitting, are you easing back, Keith Gibson? I don't know if there's any danger of you ever getting in shape. Well, rounds of shape. But what are you do? Are you doing anything differently as the season progresses? Are you easing up on a lot of things, just kind of walking through a lot of stuff to make sure there's no injuries? What's your plan going forward?
Yeah. You have to take it. You got to be cautious in practice, especially with certain guys. Blaine Dickey's coming off the ankle, and he was able to play last week, but we hold him out of a lot of drills, and we'll just make sure he gets the mental stuff, and because he's a smart kid, smart player, as long as he and, you kind of see this in the NFL a lot. When I was younger, I used to think, what are they doing? Those guys got to be out there. But if you're a junior, senior, and the routine, and you get your mental reps. Not to say that we're not out there doing technique stuff, because we're heavy individuals, and tonight with D-line, we worked footwork and stuff again, and some agility drills, but kind of tone back the contact at this point in time of the year. You don't need a whole lot of that. The kids have had 7 weeks of that now, and really, a week of that prior into the, before the season even started. So, like you said, if you're not in shape now, you're in trouble. If you don't know how to take contact now, you're in trouble. And it's a lot of technique, a lot of team stuff, and we just want to be crisp and to stay as healthy as we can these last 2 weeks.
Coach Tackitt, on this show, we asked a hard-hitting question, so I'm going to ask you this question.
Yep.
Carlisle, winless on the year.
Yep.
Okay. How do you keep your guys focused so they don't have a letdown this week and not look forward to Paris?
That's actually a good question.
It's an easy thing to do at 0-7 as they come into town. Senior night, a lot of hoopla, a lot of things going on.
Yep.
You got a playoff berth on the line, a guaranteed playoff berth. How do you keep your guys focused?
Well, we went to film, and I noticed the guys are kind of giddy as we went into film yesterday, and just kind of busted their chops on a couple of things, like really early in the film, and it's like, hey, or what, stop it. Hey, what are we doing here? Miss an assignment, we take a wrong step, a wrong read. We really focused on what we did wrong last week and tried to not saying I like to get mad and yell and that sort of thing at the kids all the time, but what I had to do. Hey, you guys gotta get focused here, because we got a big week coming along, and then kind of the tone got a little quieter, and we kind of watched the film against Newton with a little bit more focus, and then I stopped it again before we even got to Carlisle. Everything's just so easier now with film than say when we played. It was tough to watch film. We may have a little bit of a film session for the next opponent, but now it's all in huddle, and those kids they may be watching it right now at home. So they see Carlisle, and it is what it is. They're 0-7, but tried to keep, like today in practice, the same routine. We don't want to get too crazy with stuff, and keep everything in the same routine. And again, I mentioned again to the kids, hey, we decided after Olney every week's a playoff week, and this is no different. And,
and you guys, and I'm sure you've relayed this, if they haven't won anything yet, your guys haven't. Yeah, it's a better year, but you haven't secured the playoffs. You haven't won anything yet. And, something that maybe you could, if they get a little full of themselves, they'll get, say, last year we were just like Carlisle with only one win. So we're not too far removed. So that can help check the ego a little bit, So that's,
I said the exact same thing. I said, they're in a tough position, but you guys all know about that the last couple of years, being down in numbers and, backs against the wall all the time, and just, the way things are. So, we use that with the kids, and, and just basically tell them, look, as great as Friday night could feel, just think of how bad that's going to feel if we're on the other end of it. And remind them too, what do we do when we're playing a team that we, maybe are on paper not as well. We say, hey, let's win first quarter. And what do you think those kids at Carlisle are going to say? Hey, let's win first quarter. Let's win second quarter. Next thing you know, Flora's panicking, and you hit the panic button, and things don't bounce your way the fourth quarter or third quarter. You're in trouble. So we just got to make sure that stuff doesn't happen.
Right.
Well, Coach, another hard-hitting question I want to ask you is, is your favorite four-letter words JTES?
Jats.
I had to rub it in a little bit.
Well,
I had to rub it
in. How much longer does Jason Garrett have as the head coach of the Cowboys, and is that going to get that big money he's been wanting?
Well, when Garrett takes a seat anywhere, whether it's at home, in his car,
it's hot.
It's got to be burning.
It's hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, we know I just had to bust your chops a little bit there because we love you. You know that. And
next question.
Next question. Okay, I got a question for. I'll ask you. We bust your chops. So you're an Illini fan too.
Yeah.
As an Illini fan, does Lovey keep his job through the rest of the year?
Through the rest of the year, I'd say yes, but I I don't like getting rid of the coach in the middle of the season, but maybe I'm just too easy on the coaches being one. I see the toughness of it, but man, I was a Lovey supporter, and
I was too.
Time I thought great hire, and and I still think looking back, you still make that hire if you've got a guy like Lovey. You still make that hire, but
I thought it was going to work. I really did.
Yeah, I did, and it's just not panning out. And I hate to say it, but Lovey will land on his feet somewhere. I'm sure he'll get a job in the NFL working with somebody on the defensive side, but they need to probably go younger and try and find somebody that can get kids in here and get that program built back up.
Coach, is there anything special planned for senior night? How many seniors do you have, by the way?
Well, we just have the 4 seniors, so but we'll honor the cheerleaders as well too. And I think they got 4 or 5.
I don't think they like me right now, Coach.
Not after last week. Yeah.
But we'll honor those cheerleaders / athletes that are competing in that sport, and as long as with the football kids. So we'll do that before the game.
Smart man, Tackitt. Smart man. That's right. Yep, that's right.
Well, we wish you luck Friday night. It is senior night.
Actually, you know what, Keith? Before we stop this, because we got a little time, we had a little kind of hot topic earlier in the show, Tackitt, that I want your opinion on, because like I said, we do have a little time. We enjoy talking to you. You're quite bright.
Whoa,
when it comes
easy.
I mean, in comparison to others, but when it comes to competitive sports. Basically from junior high on. Now, granted, obviously, you're probably going to be slandered a little bit, but do you think it's good or bad?
She said
for students. Do you think it's good or bad for students, competitive sports? Can you see both sides of it, or do you see it as mostly good for kids?
Oh, just being in competitive sports and being involved?
Right. Mm-hmm.
If done the right way, it's I think 100% good. But it sadly, the leadership sometimes with the people running those programs can make it 100% bad for the kids too. So I don't mean that as a cop-out answer. I mean, I think if things are done correctly, take the sport of football and everything that you can learn from that sport. And, we try to tell the guys, all the time, it's competing out there in between the white lines we got to take those into life. You got to compete for a job.
Bingo.
And because you're kidding yourself if you think you're the only guy or a girl that's applying for that position. You got to go out and compete with it.
You got to earn
do that in your interview. And I remind my guys too, hey, you got to compete for the girl that you want,
Oh, so true. Yeah, right.
I never had to.
No, with that, with Keith learned about losses and how to recover from losses in that frame of mind.
Exactly,
as he went 0 for 20, as he went 0 for 26 when he asked about for homecoming. So, he learned to overcome adversity and move on. So good for you, Keith. Proud of you.
Yeah, I mean, if you lose to the Jets, you got to learn to go on the next week and keep competing.
That's right.
Coach, it's not. I want to let you know, Coach. I want to let you know that's not a cop-out answer, because that's basically the same thing we said.
Yep.
If done right, I think it's a great thing. But if it's done poorly, you're going to have issues. Well, Coach Brian Tackitt, thank you for joining the show again this week. Week 8 consecutive weeks. You still haven't left us. We can't thank you enough. We can't thank your coaching staff. Hey, by the way, how's that behind the mic show hat and shirt fit?
Very well. Wore it the practice the other day. Looks good.
Nice. It is a good hat. It is. Yeah.
It's comfy. Yeah. But, hey, good luck Friday night. Enjoy senior night. Enjoy those seniors because they are a special group of four young men.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk to you next week. Coach Brian Tackitt, the Flora Wolves. What?
Oh, we got a prediction to make.
Oh, we forgot Link.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whew. Boy.
Link, I'm glad you don't root for the Cowboys. What's your prediction this week, buddy?
14-7.
14. Low scoring.
Ooh, another defensive back.
Dad didn't like that too much.
I like the 7.
I like the 7.
Hey, a win's a win, Coach Tackitt. You know that better than anybody.
That's right. Yep.
Burgers for everybody. Hey, good luck Friday night. Get that 6th win. Let's celebrate after that because you get that win, we're going to the playoffs.
Yep,
right.
sounds good.
All right, Coach Brian
luck.
Tackitt, the Flora Wolves. As we wrap up our Friday Night Mike segment, we'll be right back here in a few minutes with some fun dad jokes. You're listening to the Behind the Mike Show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill.
One tree or a dozen, large estate or small corner lot, whatever you call home. When you have trees that need professional care, that means call them Beast Trees. Greg Miller, owner and operator of Beast Trees, is an ISA certified arborist. Beast Trees offers tree removal, trimming, and free estimates. They're fully licensed and fully insured. Call Beast Trees today to find out how they can keep your trees healthy and thriving. Call 217-260-4551 to schedule an appointment with Beast Trees.
Welcome back, everybody, to Behind the Mike Show. Your host, Keith Gibson, alongside Sam Erwin. As we wrap up this week's episode, what a mega show we have had, Sam Erwin. We have talked competitive sports, and is it a positive or negative for athletes? We've talked about, can anybody actually beat Mike Tyson in his prime? We've talked about under 2-hour marathons. We've had great Friday Night Mike segments. We want to thank Coach Martin, Coach Groves, and Coach Tackitt for joining us. I talk about a trio of coaches,
and Tracy Martin was nice enough to join us, to give us a different perspective, a coach's wife's perspective. So bless her heart for doing that.
And one of the coaches who joined us is back with us because he wanted to do some more dad jokes, and we said, what a better way to end this show than with more dad jokes, ladies and gentlemen. Brent Johnson.
Brent Johnson, everybody.
Thanks for having me back.
Yep. We're doing round 2 of this because it was successful the first time. I think everybody enjoyed it. So basically, if you're just tuning in, Brent's going to be basically the host of the show. He's going to read Keith and I some basically corny jokes or dad jokes, if you will. And the first person to crack and laugh will lose a point. And the first person that gets 2-3 points will lose the overall game. Keith, you understand the game, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you never know with you. And,
get my serious face on.
Oh, you are. You got your game face. And hopefully at some point Brent will end up on camera as well, since we're recording this on Facebook.
I'm here,
he hasn't got the gist of this, but I got a feeling we're going to get a reveal of some kind of costume or something for this show. So we'll see. Whenever he's ready, we'll get started.
It's all strategery.
Okay.
Strategery, he said.
Uh-huh.
You know, Sammy, it's going to be a great week.
You just let me know when you're ready.
Hey,
we're ready when you are. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic. All
Ladies
right.
and gentlemen, your host for Dad Jokes number 2, Brent Johnson.
2.0. Okay. What did the excited gardener do when spring finally came?
What?
He wet his plants. Okay. Tough crowd.
All right. Okay.
Game face.
On what side do chickens have the most feathers?
Which side?
The outside. The outside.
Fine. That's terrible. Fine. I got a point. All right. Fine.
I figure I'm shocked it took that many jokes, honestly.
All right. Here we go. 1-0.
Okay.
Brent, hold on. I got to
Why
ask.
can't
Hold on. Is that a gummy worm hanging from your mustache?
it's a rainbow mustache.
That's fantastic.
Ooh, very nice.
I thought it was a
Very
gummy
nice.
worm. I was getting hungry.
It is not a gummy worm, I promise.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Why can't dinosaurs talk?
No idea.
Because they're dead. Erwin, you can't look away. That's not going to help. You know that, right?
I'm not laughing. That's all that matters. All
Okay,
right. Next
okay.
joke. Next joke. Yep.
Okay.
I'm good tonight.
Yeah, you guys are solid. I'm proud of you.
I think it's because Keith Gibson's holding in a poop right now, and he's just kind of concentrating on that. So that's a lot of it. Yeah.
That's what he's known for.
Mhm.
Okay.
Truth.
What do you call a pony with a sore throat?
What?
A little horse. Somebody.
That was
Somebody
Keith.
laughed. I heard
That
it.
was Keith. That's a great joke. That's a great joke. I love it. All right, 1-1. 1-1.
Man. Okay, let's see here. Okay. What do you call a jacket that goes up in flames?
What?
A blazer. Okay, just for the record, if Lauren was playing, she would have already lost.
We can always have her join us. That's a good one, though. That's a good one. Oh, boy.
Okay.
That's all I had there.
Hold these laughs and I'm sweating. All right.
Okay. What's ET short for?
What?
No idea.
Because he's got tiny legs.
Thank God. Thank God.
Who went first? I couldn't tell.
Keith.
Okay.
That's great.
That's a good one.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one. I had to write that one down.
That was a really good one, yeah. All right, you're down 2-1. One more, Keith, and you
I know.
lose.
I started out so
Okay.
hot. It always happens to me in these games. I get up, and then somehow I always get this close.
Yep, so close. And
Story of your life. Story of your life,
Yep.
right?
That's right. Yep, here we go.
Just a little short. Okay. What do you call it when Batman skips church?
What?
Christian Bale. Okay.
All right, still 2-1.
All right. I have 6 eyes, 2 mouths, and 3 ears. What am I?
What?
Ugly. Man, I'm really proud of you guys. This would have been over after 4 jumps last time.
It was, yeah. We're better prepared this time. Woo.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Okay. What kind of tea is hard to swallow?
No idea.
Reality.
I did too.
Dang it, Lauren. You just cost me a point.
Yeah.
Man.
Lauren helped out on that one.
2-2. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks. Yeah. All right, 2-2. This could be it for the championship.
2-2. Okay. Let's see here.
Woosah.
I'm trying to find you a really good one here. Okay. Have you ever had a pencil with 2 erasers?
No.
They're pointless. Okay. Nothing. Tough crowd. Tough crowd.
Good thing you're not doing stand-up.
I know, right? if you can see your faces like I can, that's the best one.
You can.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you call ghost poop?
What?
Boo-boo. Somebody, who was it, Mole?
No, I just dropped the mouse.
Oh, okay.
The mouse.
Drop the mouse. So he says.
Yeah, right.
Whew. Sweating.
Okay.
Hot in here.
All right.
Hot in here. All right.
Okay.
Erwin, you're going to go first.
No way. No way.
Okay.
Feel good about this.
What did, let's see here. Oh, I forgot I got a whole other side here.
Oh, a lot of research.
Okay, here we go. Why does a chicken coop only have 2 doors?
Why?
Because if it had 4, it'd be a sedan.
Damn it.
Oh, that was a super.
Oh, man.
I think you got them both. I think you're going to have to ask another one.
Okay. You think you're putting me on the spot like that? Okay.
Okay.
Why did the can crusher quit its job?
Why?
Why?
Because it was so depressing.
Okay.
What did the ocean say to the shore?
What?
Nothing. It just waved.
And Keith Gibson loses. Yes.
The tiebreaker.
Yes.
Who lost last time? I forgot.
I think no, was it you?
No,
Was it
you
me?
lost last
No,
time.
it was me. It was me.
I
Yep.
think it
So now
was
it's
you.
1-1.
Yeah, I think it's 1-1.
Yeah. It's 1-1. We may have to revisit this for the World Championships.
Oh,
So-
we might have to do that. Maybe in person if you guys come in next weekend.
Oh, so true, Keith Gibson.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brent
Getting real
Johnson,
intense
thank
now.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
for being our host of Dad Jokes number 2 here on the Behind the Mic show. We want to thank you for joining us as always. We want to thank our coaches who joined us, Coach Martin, Coach Groves, Coach Tackitt, and we want to thank you for listening in as you do each and every week and putting up with guys like Brent Johnson who come on this show. No. Hey, everybody have a great week out there. Thank you. Hope you have a great rest of your week and weekend. Make sure you tune into the Behind the Mic Show at cheapseatsbar.com. We'll update you on and our Facebook page on Benton's game Friday night, on Marion's game, on Flora's game. We'll have all the updates for you at cheapseatsbar.com. For my co-host and fellow host and friend, Sam Erwin, and for Brent Johnson, I am Keith Gibson. This has been the Behind the Mic Show from the Cheap Seats Sports Bar and Grill.